A nationwide general knowledge contest for the title Brain of Britain 2006. The chairman is Robert Robinson.
Hello again. We have 4 more participants. They arrive for a bout of intellectual arms down. They come from the Midlands and East Anglia, and they are Paul Bridgewater, a full-time carer from Sutton Coldfield, Mrs. Ruth Newbury, an educational consultant from Shefford, Bedfordshire, Martin Worth, a teacher now retired from Leicester, and Dr. Ian Bailey, a lecturer from Headington, Oxford. The rules are, as ever, uncomplicated. 5 right in a row, and the contestant is awarded an extra mark, and the usual 10 seconds are available for thought. Here's the first question for Mr. Bridgewater. A military parade was held in Dublin this year to commemorate the 90th anniversary of which event? The first time such a parade has been held for more than 30 years.
Titanic?
No. Dr. Bailey?
The Easter Rising.
The Easter Rising is quite right. Mrs. Newbury, of what is numismatics the study?
The study of coins.
Yes, it is. Which alternative name for the lima bean, I think I pronounced it correctly, or for certain varieties of it, supposedly derives from its creamy yellow colour?
Haricot bean.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Butterbeans.
Butter bean is quite right. It's now Mr. Worth's turn. Which Latin word describes the full shadow of the Earth or the Moon during an eclipse?
Umbra.
It is correct. Stienka Razin, Ivan Maziepa, and Emelian Pugachev, I think I got those all right, all led unsuccessful revolts against Russian rulers in the 17th and 18th centuries. They were all leaders of which people?
I don't know.
Huh? Mrs. Newbury.
The Cossacks.
The Cossacks is quite right. Well done. Dr. Bailey now. Who was the chief god of Norse mythology, god of poetry and the dead, among other attributes?
Odin.
Yes. Which word for an ecstatic, emotional piece of poetry or music means literally stitch song in Greek, because all storytellers would weave together elements of several existing tales? Time is ticking away. It's gone. Mr. Bridgewater?
Fable?
No. Mrs. Newbury?
Chorus.
No. Now, Mr. Worth?
Saga?
No. Rhapsody is the answer. And that's the end of our opening round. Let us see how the scores come. Mr. Bridgewater has yet to score. 1 to Mr. Worth, 2 to Mrs. Newbury, 3 to Dr. Bailey. Now it's Mr. Bridgewater's turn. Which geographical feature in Australia is probably the most famous example of an inselberg, or isolated mountain?
Uluru, or Ayers Rock.
Now, you gave us the native term, Uluru, or Ayers Rock, and as I think Trollope said of it, it's just enough of a mountain to give excitement to ladies and gentlemen in middle life. Rather patronising, don't you think? Anyway, it's Mr. Bridgewater's turn again. Which motoring pioneer was also an early aviation enthusiast and was killed in a flying accident in 1910 during an air tournament at Bournemouth?
Mr. Rolls.
Yes. Which country is the only former Portuguese colony on the east coast of Africa?
Suriname?
No. Dr. Bailey?
Mozambique.
Mozambique is quite right. And tourists from neighbouring countries flock to Mozambique, apparently, which someone said they've turned into a hot black pool. Whether that's good news or bad, I know not. Mrs. Newbury, this year saw the 20th anniversary of the world's worst nuclear accident. Where did the accident take place?
Chernobyl.
Yes. Of which early 20th century art movement were the 2 principal phases called analytic and synthetic?
Cubism.
You're right. The author of The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, the best known of her many novels, died this year at the age of 88. What was her name?
Muriel Spark.
Right. In the world of business, takeovers are examples of the process often known colloquially as M&A. What does M&A stand for?
Method and actions.
No. Mr. Worth?
Mergers and acquisitions.
Exactly right, sir. Well done. Your turn, Mr. Worth. Which character does Alice find having tea with the March Hare and the Dormouse in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland?
The Mad Hatter.
Yes. Which 5th century BC writer became known as the father of history because of his writings on the Greeks' wars with Persia?
Herodotus.
Yes, you're right, sir. Which Caribbean national football team are nicknamed the Soca Warriors after a local style of music?
Jamaica.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. Well done. Now, Dr. Bailey, what is the literal meaning of the word lieutenant?
In place of.
Yeah,
Meaning
holding
in place
place,
of,
or
yeah.
in place of, in the sense of a deputy or substitute. You're quite right. In a demonstration of the continuing impact of new technology, a milestone in the compilation of the UK pop music charts occurred at the beginning of April this year, when the song Crazy by Gnarls Barkley reached number 1. What was noteworthy about the way in which it achieved that status?
It got there on download sales alone. It had not even been released in the record shops yet.
A comprehensive and quite accurate answer, sir. Well done. Which Middle Eastern city, famed for its gold souk and a waterway simply known as the Creek, which divides it, is currently the site of rapid expansion and many prestigious construction projects, including the artificial Palm Islands and what could be the world's tallest building when it's completed?
Riyadh.
No. Mr. Worth?
Dubai.
Dubai, quite right. Well done. The end of that round. Scribble, scribble goes the score, and we have 2 for Mr. Bridgewater, 5 for Mrs. Newbury, 5 for Mr. Worth, and 7 for Dr. Bailey. Mr. Bridgewater, which level stands between class and family in the classification of living creatures, an example being primates?
Species?
No. Mrs. Newbury?
Genus.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Order.
Order is right. Well done. Mrs. Newbury, Eel Marsh House is the sinister setting of which 1983 novel by Susan Hill, also running as a play in London's West End since 1989.
The Lady in Black. The Woman in Black.
Yes, yes, yes. How reluctantly old Jorkins nodded his head. Takes great effort for him to do a thing like that, you know. Anyway, you're quite right. The Woman in Black, but the Lady in Black well, it would have done for me. How many commissioners are there in the European Union's Commission?
I'm ever so tempted to say too many.
Oh, that's
4.
very saucy, Mrs. Newbury.
4.
No. Mr. Worth?
30.
No. Dr. Bailey, his light came on?
15.
No. Now, Mr. Bridgewater?
12?
No. 25. 1 for each member state. Mr. Worth, the 16th and 17th century popes, Leo X, Clement VII, and Leo XI, were all members of which powerful Italian family?
Borgias.
No. Mrs. Newbury?
The Medici.
You're quite right, ma'am. Dr. Bailey, the following is undoubtedly the most familiar composition of a Baroque composer who died 300 years ago, although it was his only one in this particular form and is not typical of his output, which was an influence on J.S. Bach. In an example of changing musical tastes, this work was not especially popular until comparatively recently. What was the composer's name? Now, what was the composer's name?
Pachelbel.
Yes, indeed, you're quite right. That was the canon. It's sometimes called Canon and Gigue in D, and was performed there by the London Baroque. It's Dr. Bailey again. What name was given to the fabulous creature of folklore with the head, plumage and talons of a griffin and the lower half of a horse, supposed to be the offspring of a male griffin and a mare?
Hippogriff?
Yes, Hippogriff is right. Which lake in the Lake District, the nearest of the larger lakes to England's highest mountain, Scawfell Pike, is the deepest lake in England?
Westwater?
Yes, Westwater is right. The English mathematician and electrical engineer Oliver Heaviside is reported to have said in 1891, 3 years ago, electromagnetic waves were nowhere. Shortly afterwards, they were everywhere. He was referring to the groundbreaking experiments carried out in 1888 by a German scientist who himself saw no practical use for his discoveries. What was his name?
Hertz?
Yes, Heinrich Hertz, and you're right, and none of us would be sitting here prattling but for Mr. Hertz's radio waves. Good old Heinrich. What in a mosque is the function of the structure called a minbar?
Does it point...
Out of time. Mr. Bridgewater.
Is it to separate the men from the women?
No. Mrs. Newberry.
It's the direction in which Mecca is to be found. It indicates the way.
No, it isn't that. Mr. Worth.
Is it where they put their shoes as they go into the mosque?
No. Well, only in the... No. I was going to say only in the sense that it is a pulpit and they might be wearing shoes, but that's impossible. You do not wear shoes in a mosque. Whose turn is it now? My turn to give you the scores. They are these: 2 to Mr. Bridgewater, 5 to Mr. Worth, 7 to Mrs. Newberry, 12 to Dr. Bailey. And now here we have 2 questions from one of our listeners, and hoping to floor all 4 of you as you put your heads together to confer. The first of those questions from R.B. Saunders of Birmingham is this: travelling due south from Detroit, USA, what is the next country you would enter? Travelling due south from Detroit.
Well,
Canada.
Due south.
Canada.
I see what you mean.
yes.
Yeah, you say it.
It's Canada.
Yeah, could you say a few more things about it?
The border does a strange loop on Lake Michigan, I think.
I think that's all you need to say. Yes, it was like that. Good old Canada. Though they once had a competition, if you recall, at the Frankfurt Book Fair to decide what the dullest book title would be, and they concluded it would be any title with the word Canada in it. Oh, pretty rude. Anyway, you got that right. What in the animal kingdom, comes the second question from Mr. Saunders, I assume, are coronets, tres and spillers?
What was something to do with fishing? Flies or something? Maggots?
Yes, okay. You say
Well,
it.
no, you go for it. You
Oh,
do it.
don't be so polite to each
I
other.
can't remember what you said.
All right. Is it something to do with fishing? Are the flies or maggots or something like that?
No, it isn't. It's parts of the antlers of fallow deer.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
So you were miles off there, but you got the first one. Mr. Saunders got the second. That means by our quaint rules that he has won, gets a book token and a round of applause. Mr. Bridgewater, the symbol of the American Democratic Party is a donkey. What is the symbol of the Republican Party?
It's an elephant.
It is an elephant. After the Sadler's Wells Opera Company took up residence in the London Coliseum, it changed its name. It is now known as the ENO, which is short for what?
English National Opera.
You're quite right. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Camille Claudel was one of the relatively few women recognized as a significant artist, a sculptor. In her own right, much has been made in literature and film of her relationship with her teacher, mentor and lover, from whom she later broke away. Who was her teacher?
Pablo Picasso?
No. Dr. Bailey?
Rodin?
Rodin is quite right. Well done. And looking at his famous sculpture, The Thinker, a lady was overheard to say, wasn't Marlon Brando the model for that? Well, innocence, that's what that was. Mrs. Newberry, which unit in Anglo-Saxon law used for the assessment of tribute and taxation, could vary considerably in the area it covered because of the nature of the terrain, being originally defined as the amount of land required to support one free household.
A hide.
Yes. What is the literal meaning of the Chinese term feng shui?
Beautiful house.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Wind and water?
Wind and water is right. Now Mr. Worth's turn. Turnberry Golf Course, celebrating its centenary this year, first hosted the British Open tournament in 1977. A dramatic head-to-head battle to decide the title took place between two Americans in very hot conditions, and it became known as the Duel in the Sun. That is now the official name of the 18th hole on Turnberry's Ailsa course. One of the contenders was Jack Nicklaus. Who was the other who went on to win the second of his eventual 5 Open championships?
Arnold Palmer.
No. Mr. Bridgewater.
Tom Watson.
Tom Watson's quite right. But as Chesterton said, he regarded golf as an expensive way of playing marbles. Dear. Dr. Bailey, your turn. Since the early 1970s, only one British actress has won the Oscar for Best Actress in a Leading Role, winning the 1992 award for Howard's End. What is her name?
Emma Thompson?
Yes. Used in the production of porcelain, kaolin is known as china clay. How is the mineral petunsa, used in the same process, sometimes known?
Japanese clay?
No. Mrs. Newbury?
Alum.
No. Mr. Bridgewater?
Slip.
No. Mr. Worth?
English clay.
No. China stone is the answer. And now at the end of that round, let me see how the scores have changed. The scores are now 5 to Mr. Bridgewater, 5 to Mr. Worth, 8 to Mrs. Newbury, 15 to Dr. Bailey. Mr. Bridgewater's turn. The Man Without Qualities is the English translation of the title of a work often cited as one of the masterpieces of European literature. Dealing with the end of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, it was written over many years. It was left unfinished at the author's death in 1942. And the author was an Austrian who had been a military officer, a scientist, and a philosopher before turning to novels. What was his name?
Pass.
Dr. Bailey?
Goethe?
No. Mrs. Newbury?
Schiller.
No. Have a go, Mr. Worth. Pick one out.
No, it's gone.
You don't know.
No.
The answer is Robert Musil. It's your turn, Mrs. Newbury. Though it can simply mean a hill or mound, the presence of what type of structure might also be indicated by the place name element dun, D-U-N, in both Irish and Scottish Gaelic.
Castle, homestead, that sort of thing.
Well, I'll tell you this, frankly, Jawkins didn't like your answer, but he's accepted it because the answer to him is a fort. But then a castle is a fort as well, is it not?
It is in my book.
Well, I must read that book once you've finished it. Yes, indeed. But it's your turn again. The man whom police in Italy have sought for decades as the mafia's boss of bosses, Bernardo Provenzano, was finally arrested this year in Sicily, near which town, sometimes considered the organization's heartland and associated with it in literature, did the arrest occur?
Palermo.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Catania?
No. Mr. Bridgewater?
Corleone.
Well done, sir. Corleone. In Sicily, and I've heard it said that Sicilians can't use the telephone because they need both hands for talking. I don't think they meant to be offensive, whoever said that. Mr. Worth, several places in Australia, including its largest Salt Lake, are named for an explorer who was the first European to cross the Nullarbor Plain from South Australia to Western Australia in 1841. What was his name?
Burke.
Out of time, Mr. Bridgewater?
Air.
Air is quite right. Well done. Dr. Bailey, The unique and mysterious script known as Rongo, comprising engraved markings on wood, is still largely undeciphered. It is found only in which remote Pacific territory?
Marshall Islands.
No. Mr. Bridgewater?
Easter Island.
Easter Islands, quite right. And that brings us to the end of that round, and we'll see how the figures now stand. We have 5 for Mr. Worth, 8 for Mr. Bridgewater, 9 for Mrs. Newbury, 15 for Dr. Bailey. Mr. Bridgewater, in the SI system of units, an atomic clock uses the 133 isotope of which chemical element to define the international standard for the second?
Cesium.
Yes. Which German word is sometimes used for a celebratory or commemorative collection of writings by various authors published in honour of a particular author or person?
Zeitgeist.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Festschrift.
A Festschrift is the answer. Mrs. Newbury, in which southern English city, the birthplace of the artist John Everett Millais, would you find the gallery of contemporary art named the Millais Gallery in his honour?
Winchester.
No. Dr. Bailey?
Plymouth.
No. Mr. Worth?
Portsmouth.
No. Pick one, Mr. Bridgewater.
Torquay.
No. Southampton is the answer. It's your turn, Mr. Worth. We now hear a duo who were double winners at this year's BBC Radio 3 World Music Awards for the Album of the Year and the Regional Award for Africa. Together since attending School for the Blind in their native Mali and performing since the mid-1970s, they have in recent years become increasingly prominent on the world music scene. Known by their first names, who are they? And so who are they?
I don't know.
Oh, surely you can think of a couple of names. Pluck out of the air something. You look ashamed to do it. I feel like a real tempter. Dr. Bailey.
Bert and Ernie.
No, they must be doing something though, mustn't they? Bert and Ernie, did you say?
From Sesame.
Lovely name, lovely
yes,
name.
That's right.
Go into the jungle with Bert and Ernie, but no, wrong, I'm afraid. What about Mr. Bridgewater, Mrs. Newbury?
Sam and Mark.
No.
Jane and Tom.
That's as plain as the nose on my face. But no, it's Amadou and Mariam, the answer. And that was Koulibaly from their award-winning album Dimanche à Bamako. It's your turn, Dr. Bailey. Which European country last year became the first unseeded nation to win tennis's Davis Cup, although it fell at the quarter-final stage in the defence of its title this year?
Sweden.
No. Mr. Bridgewater?
Czech Republic.
No. Pick one. Yes, Mr. Worth.
Spain.
No. Now, Mrs. Newbury.
Romania.
No. Croatia is the answer. And that brings us to the end of yet another round. And the scores are now 5 to Mr. Worth, 9 to Mr. Bridgewater, 9 to Mrs. Newbury, 16 to Dr. Bailey. We begin our final round with Mr. Bridgewater. J.H. Salisbury was a 19th century doctor in America, well known for his pronouncements on public health, particularly dietary matters, and Salisbury's steak is a term that can still be found for something that he recommended people to eat 3 times a day. The term was used in his lifetime, but rarely gained currency for patriotic reasons during the First World War. What is a Salisbury steak?
Type of German sausage.
No. Dr. Bailey?
It's a type of hamburger. The problem is that hamburger was named after Hamburg, which was in Germany.
Well, that's right, but it's also known, or was known, and maybe still is, Salisbury steak. But yes, hamburger is right. And wasn't it Salisbury who disapproved of cutlery? I mean, eating food with a knife and fork, he said, I think he said, is like making love through an interpreter. Dear me. Mrs. Newberry, which aristocrat was the patron of Howard Carter's expedition, which found the tomb of Tutankhamen, his death within a year of the discovery being cited as evidence of a curse on disturbers of the tomb?
Lord Carnarvon.
Yes. What is the name of the European spacecraft that went into orbit around Venus in April this year with the particular aim of studying the atmosphere and its lessons for Earth's own greenhouse warming?
Ozone 1.
No. Nice title. Anyone else have a go? I mean, something you can make up. Mr. Worth?
Voyager?
No. Dr. Bailey?
Ariane?
No. Mr. Bridgewater?
Aphrodite.
No. All very good names. Venus Express is the rather more obvious one. Mr. Worth, the official residence of which senior figure within the Church of England is at Auckland Castle?
The Archbishop of York?
No. Dr. Bailey?
The Bishop of Durham?
The Bishop of Durham is right. Well done. Dr. Bailey, in which of the shipping forecast areas surrounding the British Isles do the Channel Islands lie?
Dover?
No. Mr. Worth?
Biscay?
No. Mrs. Newberry?
Finisterre.
No. That's certainly one of them. Mr. Bridgewater?
And 40s?
No. Portland is the answer. And now that brings us to the end of that round, the end of the competition on this occasion. And I'll give you the final scores. They're these: 5 for Mr. Worth, 9 for Mr. Bridgewater, 10 for Mrs. Newberry, 18 for Dr. Bailey. So Dr. Bailey is without doubt our winner. He goes forward to the semi-finals. Next week we have 4 more contestants from the Midlands and East Anglia. Until then, I bid you goodbye.
The chairman of Brain of Britain was Robert Robinson, and the questions were set by Kevin Ashman. The programme was devised by John P. Wynne, and the producer was Richard